So a while back I reviewed the vanilla Hellcat with the iron sights, and like none of you watched it, and I can understand why. It was pre-world class era content. I can't blame you for that. But now I have the spicier version of the Hellcat RDP, or Rapid Defense Package. And for my YouTube manual reviewer, this is a picture of what the gun looks like on the website. And this is what it looks like in my hand, which means it is unmodified. This is advertiser-friendly content. So basically, Springfield Armory decided to make a little baby open gun straight from the factory. So we'll be talking about that and more today in this review of the Hellcat RDP. I'm David with the Humble Marksman channel. Are you ready? Stand by. Welcome back to the channel, guys. To save you some time and not have to go back and watch the other video, to summarize my thoughts on the Hellcat, I honestly like it better than the SIG P365. If a name brand was associated with it like Sig Sauer, I think it would probably be significantly more popular. And the reason for that is it's just flat better. The trigger's better, the texture on the grip is better, the magazines are cheaper, the iron sights are better, the gun is easier to shoot. The only thing that's not better about this than the P365 is how they have relieved the trigger guard. It does rub on the trigger guard a little bit in a way that the P365 doesn't. But it's not terrible, so I really won't get into that too much here. So before we get going, I have to ask the question. This is a $900 micro compact that comes with a red dot and a compensator, but $900 is a lot of money. Is a gun that is this capable out of the box something that's appealing to you, or would you rather compromise, accept less features for maybe an iron-sighted P365? I'm genuinely curious if a gun that's this capable, despite its higher price point, is appealing to you, or if you would just make do. Let me know in the comments below. So what makes the Hellcat RDP special is the fact that it comes with the Hex Wasp sight mounted on the top of the gun, and this little carry compensator right here on the barrel. And as a result of that, they had to extend the barrel to 3.7 inches, which is dangerously close to 4 inches, which is the standard to which most hollow points are designed to perform. And as a result of that, the gun is longer. It's about the size of a P365 XL front to back. It's a little bit longer, but in the grip, it's roughly the same size as the regular P365. The gun will come with 2 magazines. They'll give you an 11 rounder with a pinky extension. They also give you a flat base plate if you absolutely have to have the lowest profile gun possible, and a 13 rounder, which is what I typically have been carrying the gun with. However, just this week, Springfield has released 15 round magazines for it, and it has a grip sleeve that kind of extends the length, so it gives you a full-length grip on the pistol. It makes it very controllable. It's not that much longer than the 13 rounder, but it does pack in those 2 extra rounds. So that's a real quick synopsis of the Hellcat. So let's talk about the new features that come on the RDP package, since that's what you're paying for. So first stop is going to be the Hex auto-adjusting sight. Now, I generally don't like auto-adjusting sights. I think I've got 6 of them now, and only one of them adjusts well enough to where I would allow it to pick the brightness for me. Until I got the Hex auto adjuster here. This thing actually does a pretty good job of keeping up with the light that in the area that you're in and giving you just enough dot. Now, if you're one of these people who says the tired old trope, look,
I like a small dot because I can just bloom it.
First of all, stop. That's not good technique, and you're not learning how to target focus well by doing it. The dot is distracting you, and you're less likely to generate good hits. Use a dimmer dot that's a little bit larger and focus harder on your target, and you'll be shooting better. So if you can get on board with that technique of a very hard target focus, the dot is visible. You will pick it up. It's fine. The window is kind of small, and it does fit a Shield RMSC footprint, so all of the old Hellcat slide cuts can't accept the Hex Wasp, just like the Hellcat RDP does from the factory. As far as the sight is concerned itself, there are no audible or tactile clicks when you dial in the adjustment. You have to use a really fine Allen wrench that they provide, which works well enough, although I wish that there were tactile or audible clicks. I also wish it took like a jeweler's tip screwdriver and not a super fine Allen key, but that's really kind of splitting hairs. More importantly is that once the sight is dialed in, it has held elevation and windage, no problem whatsoever. Unfortunately, the battery has to be changed on the bottom of the optic, so that means you're going to have to unmount the optic to change batteries, which isn't the best feature. As far as the actual optic itself is concerned, it seems pretty rigid. There are these little wings on either side of the shroud that are intended to act as handles to work as a slide racker. And that's honestly really forward thinking by Springfield. This provides an excellent purchase for somebody who likes to run the slide at the back of the gun, and you don't have to use the face of your optic, but you can still run the front of the slide from the muzzle if that's more your speed. But most importantly, the factory iron sights that come on the Hellcat do co-witness through the Hex sight because it is so low profile. Springfield went the extra mile to serrate the back face of the optic body, saying it was going to cut down on glare. Like, that's never been a problem for me doing a lot of competition shooting with red dots. It sounds good on paper, so they can market it, but that's what the little lines on the back of it are for. But really, the wings and being able to use this as a slide racker is the most important feature. I have not dropped it. I'm sure Aaron Cowan will get around to it eventually, but the added ribs, the thickness at the back of it, looks like it would help it stand up to drops on the optic shroud. However, I haven't been brave enough to drop it. Moving up front to the little baby compensator, this is actually a pretty interesting design. There's really not that much of a port that is going all the way around there. And if you're not familiar with how compensators work, they redirect the gas from the ammunition up into the sides so that it actually makes the slide lose a little bit of energy, so the perceived recoil is less. The force of the air is supposed to keep the muzzle down. And I did A/B this by shooting it with the muzzle device off and muzzle device on, and it actually does work. Now, how much it works is kind of debatable. Is an exploitable advantage? That I can't really speak to, but I do know that if you were shooting one-handed, that's when you really began to appreciate the fact there was a compensator. These little micro compact 9mm are no joke. They're flippy little guys with very light slides, so having a compensator at the front really did help kind of reduce the energy on the slide and made it a more pleasant shooting experience. That said, if you haven't shot a gun with a compensator on it before, it does make for a louder shooting experience. All that gas that's being redirected all the way around does make the gun louder. I didn't run into any issues as far as reliability was concerned. I used basically target 124 and target 115 loads. The 115 was a little more pleasant to shoot because there's more gas in a 115 load and it works the compensator a little bit harder. I appreciated the 115 loads out of the gun a little bit more than the 124s. And a feature that's now available on the Hellcat RDP and vanilla Hellcats as well is they now have a manual safety that is fully ambi. So that is pretty awesome. And the way that the safety is designed, it's incredibly difficult to actuate the safety accidentally. Like, I'd have to push with the knuckle of my thumb up into it to get it to turn on. Like, if you have a good grip, your thumb is going to kind of naturally rest on the safety anyway, and this is what the side of a good grip looks like, not this, but this. The safety's totally out of the way, and if you wanted to flick the safety on, put it in your holster in your appendix position, then turn the safety off from the outside, that's an option that's available to you that's not available on most of the other Micro 9 compacts. So I think that having the manual safety is a cool feature. Even if you just want to ignore it, it's functionality that you may come later on in life decide that you want to have. And because the safety, they nailed the size and the location of it in such a way that it's almost impossible to inadvertently actuate, I think it's honestly an awesome feature. And before we go a whole lot further and I get into the negatives, I need to remind you that I really do need you to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. I'm going to do a video review comparing the RDP versus the P365 XL. You don't want to miss that. So go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when more awesome content comes online.
Well, gee, David, that all sounds really good, but what are the drawbacks?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked because it's not all upside. First and foremost, the price on this is pretty strong. This is a $900 pistol right now. The price very well may come down because I believe that is MSRP on this thing, but it is a $900 gun. And if you consider what you're getting with that, you're getting the threaded barrel, you're getting the compensator, and you're getting a red dot sight mounted at the factory. As I started to mention, the compensated gun is going to make it loud, especially if you're somebody who shoots at an indoor range. You're going to notice pretty quickly that with the bulletproof panel 2 feet on either side of the muzzle of the gun and one right over your head, it's going to reflect all that sound back at you. I zeroed this at an indoor range and it wasn't as bad as shooting my open gun indoors, which I'm pretty sure causes like ear cancer because it's so loud, but it was pretty darn loud because it does direct gas up and all around. Like if you were to shoot this in a confined space, like say in a car or something like that, it's going to be a lot louder. Now, it does have the port that directs gas straight up. I did shoot this from a PEC index, and I could feel the gas coming up past my face. However, it wasn't really that big of a deal. And because it has this fancy muzzle device, it is kind of difficult to find holsters for it, but no worries there. Roger Barrera over on his YouTube channel, the proprietor of QVO Tactical, is making holsters, and just look at this amazing holster. So this is a QVO holster for the Hellcat RDP, and he's got it covered no problem. And QVO actually makes holsters for the Hellcat with the Surefire XSC. So this is my holster for that. We'll talk about that in a different video. Since the gun is basically tuned up from the factory, the only thing you really need for the gun are more magazines and holsters. And since people are starting to make holsters for it, that box is starting to get checked. Magazines are only about $30 is what I'm seeing, which is a far cry from what SIG is selling their magazines for. And magazines seem to be pretty high quality. Having the option to carry it as a 15+1 round gun that is still a very small profile, it's about like a Glock 48 with like a Shield Arms magazine in it, that's pretty awesome. I've been carrying it with the 15 rounder as well, and honestly I think that's probably my preferred configuration. It's a little bit easier to draw from the holster, and it doesn't print that much more than the 13 rounder. You may have noticed that I didn't say, well, it shoots like a much bigger gun, and that's a trope that I'm trying to retire, specifically when comparing these micro 9s to like full-size duty double stack compacts. The truth is that the slides are so small and so light and so short that this experience is not the same at all. Like a double stack gun is significantly more pleasant to shoot. However, among the skinny baby double stack 9 guns, I would say that this does shoot softer than my P365 XL. So this has become a theme recently with the Smith M2.0. The Hellcat RDP is actually going to help my P365 XL into retirement because I like the gun better. It shoots better, it draws a little better, the trigger's better, the sights are better. I mean, it's a great gun. So that's the Hellcat RDP, guys. Let me hear from you in the comments. Would you spend $900 on a polymer gun, even though it comes with all of the features listed here? And if you've made it this far, I am linking to you my old non-world class review of the vanilla Hellcat, as well as the SIG P365 XL. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.